Okay, let's be real for a second. Are you and your partner just constantly fighting about money? Do those money talks feel like a recipe for disaster every single time? Well, today we're diving into Ramit Sethi's Money for Couples, which is basically a playbook to stop all that fighting and finally start designing what he calls your rich life together.
So let's just get right into it. Why does talking about money with the person you love the most feel like walking through a minefield? You're not alone in this. For millions of couples, these conversations are just a miserable cycle of anxiety, then resentment, and, eventually just avoiding it altogether. But it really doesn't have to be this way.
And just how deep does that avoidance actually go? Well, Ramit found that a whopping 50% of the couples he's spoken to don't even know their own combined income. Think about that for a second. Half of all couples are flying completely blind financially. That is wild.
And here's where it gets really interesting. You might argue more often about, say, whose turn it is to do the dishes, right? But the research is crystal clear. When you do fight about money, those fights are way more intense and emotionally damaging than any other conflict you're having.
So what's the real villain in this whole story? It's not your partner's latte habit, I promise. It's the silence. It's the fact that we avoid talking about money until something goes wrong. A big bill comes up or an account is overdrawn. And that turns every single conversation into a high-stakes, reactive battle.
So how in the world do we break this cycle? Well, we have to go deeper than just the numbers in your bank account. We have to dive into the psychology of money, and specifically into what Ramit calls our invisible money scripts.
So what are invisible scripts? Well, they're basically the subconscious beliefs about money that we all carry around. They're the unwritten rules we picked up from our parents, our friends, and our experiences. And believe me, they are still running the show today, whether we realize it or not.
And you've probably heard some of these before, right? Things like, rich people are shallow, or maybe that little voice in your head that says, you can't afford it. See, these aren't just random thoughts. They are powerful drivers of guilt and shame and conflict, especially when your life doesn't perfectly match these hidden beliefs.
And this is exactly why a spreadsheet by itself can't fix your money fights. You're bringing a tactical tool to a deep psychological problem. It's just not going to work. So if a budget isn't the answer, what is? Well, let's get into Ramit's three-pillar framework for creating that rich life.
All right, pillar number 1 is all about a radical shift in focus. This is not about cutting back or deprivation. The very first step is to get on the same page and design your shared vision of a rich life together.
What this really means is you stop arguing about $3 questions, like buying a coffee, and you start focusing on $30,000 questions. Instead of debating a dinner out, you should be asking, hey, what's our savings rate? Or how can we automate our investments? This is where you actually move the needle and make real progress.
And just to be clear, a rich life isn't about having a 7-figure net worth. Nope. It's a life that's defined by you. It's where you spend extravagantly on the things you truly, deeply love, and you cut costs mercilessly on everything else. But as we see in the book with the story of Sarah and Charlie, our old money scripts often get in the way and block this vision before we even get started.
Okay, so you've designed your rich life. That's the dream. Now it's time to build the system that makes it happen automatically. Pillar 2 is all about creating an engine that does the heavy lifting for you.
At the heart of this system is the conscious spending plan. It's a super simple way to divide your take-home pay into just 4 buckets: your fixed costs, your investments, your savings, and my favorite, your guilt-free spending. It's so much better than tracking every single penny in a complicated budget.
And the secret sauce that makes this all work is automation. You set up a simple flow where your income goes into a joint account, and then, like clockwork, money automatically moves to savings, investments, and even your own individual spending accounts, all without you lifting a finger each month.
This right here is maybe the most important part of the entire system. You have to pay yourself first. This flips the script. It ensures your big long-term goals get funded automatically, and then whatever is left over is yours to spend, completely guilt-free.
All right, so the vision is set and the system is running on autopilot. The final piece of the puzzle is to make talking about money a positive and regular part of your relationship. The goal is for it to become a source of connection, not conflict.
And the way you do this is with the monthly money meeting. Think of it as a scheduled 1-hour date with your partner and your finances. It's a time to celebrate your progress, look at the numbers, and dream about the future. Just like Christian and Millie from the book, this routine builds that muscle of financial teamwork and resilience. And it's in these meetings that you tackle those big $30,000 questions. For instance, one of Ramit's most controversial points is the absolutely shocking cost of investment fees. That little 1% fee from an advisor, it can literally devour over a quarter of your total returns over time. Avoiding that is a huge, huge win.
But, for any of these conversations to work, the whole framework kind of assumes that both partners are on the same team and acting in good faith. A potential blind spot here is that the book doesn't really dig into what happens when that trust is broken through something like financial infidelity. That's a situation that requires a very different playbook.
So, we've covered the problem, the psychology behind it, and the three-pillar solution. Are you ready to actually start living your rich life? Here's exactly how you can get started, like today.
Your very first step is simple. Schedule a 30-minute rich life date with your partner. That's it. And here's the key. No numbers, no spreadsheets. Just ask this one powerful question, and then just listen. Ask, what if we could quadruple our spending on the one thing we love most?
And honestly, this is what it's all about. This quote just perfectly captures the entire philosophy of the book. The goal isn't just about accumulating money. It's about using money as a tool to live the biggest, richest, most fulfilling life you possibly can together. So, the final question is for you. What is that one thing? The one thing you and your partner would spend extravagantly on to start living your rich life today? The answer to that question? Well, that's the start of a whole new conversation.